Mark and Itay are going to be our speakers today. I'm just buying some time here as they get set up. And as soon as you're ready, Mark, just unmute yourself and get started. Make introductions. I'm putting myself on mute and I'll get the chat going.
Okay, great. You should be able to see my screen now, correct? Welcome to HubSpot Hacks with Itay and Mark. Great. So I think we can start. So I want to introduce, again, this is Penguin's HubSpot Hacks. We meet to discuss anything to do with HubSpot and come up with an interesting subject every 2 weeks. This is an ongoing webinar. This is, I think, our fourth session, sorry. Today, I'm very happy to have with us Itay, who is one of the more seasoned professional paid and demand gen experts that I've come across and working in the field in the last 15 years. We worked on a few companies together, and so I thought it was a great opportunity for us to go in and show the different capabilities that HubSpot has in order to track, manage anything to do with paid media or running paid campaigns, including account-based marketing and targeted accounts. So we're going to touch on a few things around that and then I think will be very interesting, Itay's take on how he uses the tools, how he would use the tools, what are the different use cases, and just have a conversation around demand gen, and I think it will be very interesting. So Itay, if we can start, you can introduce yourself, take it from there.
So my name is Itay, and I manage the demand generation side of Firebolt. Firebolt is a new cloud data warehouse in this big market of cloud data warehouses, among like Snowflake, Google, Amazon, and other products. So we have a big challenge in front of us to really, penetrate this market and make Firebolt as known as those brands, and even more. We have a really good product that give those giants a really good fight. Before joining to Firebolt about like 2.5 years ago, I worked for AppsFlyer for same position for about 5 years. So since AppsFlyer was a small company, and that's actually my happy place, to join companies in very early stages, to be part of the team that actually define the go-to-market, define the marketing culture inside the company, and I really like those stages of companies.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, that's kind of the first time when we started working together, when we were working with AppsFlyer. You guys were using, I think, HubSpot and Salesforce back in the day, and started running demand gen, taking content to the next content marketing to the next level. And what's very interesting also, we'll dive into more details in a few minutes, but how things have progressed and how your demand gen has progressed. Also looking at, I think most people who have been following LinkedIn have seen your very interesting and engaging videos and kind of finding ways to be very engaging and different to compare yourselves, as you said, especially when you're competing with giants. And I think the creativity side, which we can touch on a bit today, but that's not going to be the main. We can have a different webinar just based on that. Is obviously much more of a challenge today. Is to be a bit above the noise and above the crowd, and be very creative and do very interesting things. So maybe just give us about 2 minutes around that before we go into and kind of, we talked before, that's your, I know, one of your passions on how to do things differently.
Yeah, I think it's a for us it's a necessary thing. You know, like you need to know your company, you need to know your audience, you need to know the industry, and you need to know your competitors. So it really depends on those elements. And for us, you know, when you go into like a crowded space where there are big companies already, you know, that they have like a nice portion of this market, and they have bigger budgets than you, bigger teams, bigger everything. So you need to do stuff different, because if you do the same stuff they're doing, you'll get bankrupt before them because they have more resources. So this is why we chose to go and to do creative stuff, especially in an industry that didn't have a lot of humor before Firebolt. So we chose to put humor inside our marketing, you know, like you said, to get above the noise. So people can see us to do something different, and it worked well, because I think today many data engineers all over the world knows about Firebolt, and that's for us is a success. What we did with HubSpot was different, because we didn't have any competitor that already won the race. You know, there was like 3 companies HubSpot within that were in the same place, you know, same market share. So it was a different story. We tried to do stuff better. Today we're trying to do stuff differently. So it really depends on your situation in the market.
So what is the current strategy, just so we understand the flow, before we go into the paid market, the media tools that HubSpot has, and how to track and how to set things up, just so we can put things in a context. What is the flow that you guys are trying to, what are the goals? What is the flow that you're trying to achieve? So you have this great video, for example, which I think everyone saw before they signed up, to engage. The goal is what? Is to click to go to a landing page, to go to the home page of the website.
Depends. Like we try different stuff. It's either like going to a landing page and convert, or using lead gen forms to convert people. So basically, we try to work with videos on LinkedIn extensively, because there are a few reasons for that. So we're trying to convert people into leads. So it's not different than anything anyone else is doing. So we use creative videos in order to catch attention and get ICTRs, high view rates. So the traffic is pretty cheap compared to what other people can reach from LinkedIn, for example. And so we get cheaper traffic, we try to convert those people, and we get a lot of engagement, a lot of exposure, because it's cheap to promote videos, and it's cheap to promote videos that work well. So basically, we try to convert people, but we also we also gathering a big pool of people that are relevant and maybe didn't convert the first time, but then we can remarket them on LinkedIn based on you know, what portion of the video they watched, 25%, 50%, 75%. So this is like first party data. So it's not we don't mind if people are blocking cookies or not blocking cookies, because we do everything on LinkedIn, or most of it on LinkedIn. So it's very effective, right? So like you don't count on match rates and stuff like that, and a lot of things is really first party data.
So the idea is for me to engage with this. Correct. Maybe this is not the original post that you put together, but I saw that was connected by other posts.
Maybe you can go into Asaf Schulman profile and see like the actually ad that we made for one S APH. Yeah.
There we go.
Then you can see because I did like repurposing for the ad for the podcast, but that's the original one we made.
So this is the original one. I go in and then I can watch the video.
Yeah.
And then from here, I can either read comments or
go to the landing page. The landing page obviously is trying to also give you some offer, and it's not just like it's not a general landing page. It's really connected to the message of the video and trying to bring some offer on the table and convert people. And if we don't convert those people, but they interacted with the video, now we can offer other stuff, more like middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel stuff. So we can retarget them with workshops, legion forms or whatever.
Got it. Okay, excellent. So that's the flow, and you're targeting. So, and then you're targeting a specific audience. So I want to dive a bit into the actual tools that are using and what we can see in HubSpot, what we can't see in HubSpot. I think the first thing that everyone I think is probably it's clear on, and if we jump back into this just so we put it in the right place, is the ad management platform. The ad management platform, what it allows you to do, first of all, is to connect before you even set up the audience. I can obviously connect my LinkedIn campaign. I can also connect, I just want to just quickly go through this so it's clear. I can do lead syncing, which is great, which I think most people on this call are aware of. But anyone that fills out any of the lead gen forms, I'm not showing yours, I'm rather showing ours, but it's the same idea, is that I can actually see the different forms that are connected here. And these lead gen forms on LinkedIn, if you're using lead gen forms, automatically pull those people into HubSpot. And then you can create workflows or audiences or anything around that. Again, how do I find everything? I just go into marketing, go into ads. And then obviously I can analyze the data. So I can see based on the different accounts, impressions, click rates, ad spend over time, impressions, new contacts. And then I can manage that per campaign, go into the specific campaign. I think most people on this call actually are aware of this, but you can go in here and see the actual ads and how they're progressing and so on and so forth. So is this something that you guys are using? Is this something that would be helpful to kind of match the flow and the data that you're tracking? I know that some of that we can't see the information. We can maybe discuss that in a second, but from what you do see, the clicks are important, the impressions are important.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to. I think it's a great tool by HubSpot, mostly for people that are not as fluent in creating reporting themselves, in defining the metrics they need. I think it's a good place to start and then see what other reports you need to create on top of them. But the basic insight or reporting it gives you, it's pretty good. And
we can also add into the dashboards what we've put together is also these ads, which I think is really powerful, where you can create a dashboard around the ads. That I even took, these are out of the box template ones that we use, which allows us to look at the cost, the clicks, campaigns, ads per social network, and gives us all the information that you need, the ad spend. And I can click into this and actually see which ones, we're only doing LinkedIn, and then how powerful that is and what's moving over time. Is there anything here that you suggest specific metrics that you would create, a dashboard around, just to specific metrics that you think it's important to follow? What are the ones you're using?
I think that again, it depends on the company and how the sales organization looks like in your company. But for example, a geo breakdown, to make sure that you bring enough leads to EMEA versus US. So geo breakdown, then I think that, metrics like no-shows and stuff like that we like to monitor per campaign to see maybe if a specific campaign bring a lot of meetings that are no-show. So that's a good indication for us that the targeting of specific campaigns should be changed or should be improved.
So you would look on the campaign level, I would say, okay, is my HR recruiting campaign or my events campaign being successful? And then I can see here, the CTRs, the clicks. Which of these metrics are actually important, or engagement leads? Engagement is something that's also, I think, has been very powerful over time.
For me, I try not to look at I think those metrics are good for optimization inside the platform, so to optimize ads or to optimize specific, mostly like ads, to see which one is performing better, grabbing better attention. Then leads by itself, for me, it's some kind of vanity metric, because leads is also a matter of definition. And I think that for us, the main metric that we look at is how many sales meetings each campaign is responsible for. So, for me, if a specific campaign brought one lead, one meeting, and one closed one, for me, it's a successful campaign, even if the price per lead is $5,000. So we try to look as deep into the funnel as possible, in order to really see ROI per channel or ROI per campaign. But that's another trap that we'll talk about later. And what are we losing when we try to measure ROI per campaign or per channel?
Got it. So what you're saying, that even if I take this campaign analytics tool, which is also very powerful, and now we can actually update this and have custom fields, which is brand new from yesterday, I think. But I need to take this with a pinch of salt. In other words, I can track sessions, I can track new contacts, influence contact, close deals, but maybe what I need to track in your case is either or meetings. So that's something in between new contacts and closed deals. I want to track those meetings. So I want to find a way to be able to track those people as well. I just want to add one thing that is great about the campaign is that you can see all the different things on the paid. So what you can do, just so it's clear, how do I connect this to the HubSpot hacks? In this case is our campaign. If I want to add any paid, so you go into add campaign, and then I don't know if you only added, what is the name of this, which is the last one we added, but whatever I want to do, I can do operational hub and then just connect it, and then we'll start bringing in the ad information as well. So that's very powerful, because the ad information we said is just clicks. There might not be conversions, and I might be retargeting teams and getting engagement as well. But so that's also very powerful. And then the other thing that I can do here in adding the campaign is I can start adding more information, budget and spend, which is around the ROI. That's something that I think is very important. What about key metrics? So you brought up an issue of videos. So I know you guys are tracking how many videos. So HubSpot has an option that if I'm watching the video, inside HubSpot or on a HubSpot landing page on the website, or using video or any of those solutions, I can track what the engagement is. I watched 30%, 40%, so on. How are you guys doing that? Because you said that video is being watched in LinkedIn itself, and I know that data, it doesn't come through to HubSpot through the LinkedIn API. How do you actually measure that, and is there something that's important, the video usage for you, and then how do you kind of look at that data?
So that's a great topic, Mark. I really like to talk about it because, first of all, I think that the ability to track video views or duration of video view in HubSpot is a great ability, again, for videos that you host on your website. So I think the best use case is if you have a recorded demo session on your website. And if you are selling SaaS B2B, you should have on your website a good recorded demo so people don't have to go through meeting with salespeople just to see how the product works. And then you can measure, the people that watch that video more than specific percentage of the video, and that's a great intent indication for people that are interested in your product. So I think that's the biggest use case in my eyes for that ability. Then I think there is a big strategy actually that LinkedIn, maybe you can tell me more about it because it from a partnership perspective, but as an end user, I'm really disappointed about LinkedIn not giving the data they have outside of the platform. And LinkedIn, historically not been doing that good. They're always, keeping a lot of the data also in the reporting in LinkedIn. A lot of the insights that we're looking to gain are not there. You can get them if you ask your account manager in LinkedIn for a specific report, you can get it, but it's not like out of the box. And I think that's a real shame because I wished HubSpot and LinkedIn had an integration that if someone, for example, watched a video of me, brought by me or by Firebolt, and he watched 75% of the video, I wish LinkedIn will give HubSpot that indication as a first campaign, for example, because that's the first interaction that we track with that user. If that user come back to the website a week after and request a demo, I think it's really shame that we cannot see that in HubSpot as first campaign. And I know the reason is that LinkedIn doesn't give that information outside.
Got it. Okay. So what do? You kind of, are you exporting that data, and I think you were telling me that you compare that to the data inside HubSpot, so you can actually look at those leads and see, in LinkedIn, you obviously see that data, but do you actually see who that person is who watched the video?
No, you don't see who watched the video, but you can see it on a company level. So, I was looking for a different solution. So basically, I look month by month, month over month. I look at the leads that came in, from companies in the same month or the months after. So I download a company report. Then I download from LinkedIn the companies that watch my video more than specific campaign, and then basically I do a VLOOKUP and I'm trying to see like a connection between those two reports, and then basically reporting that to the sales team, to the marketing team. But it's very manual, and every time I look at a different time frame, I need to do it all over again. So that's like very manual, but it's a great way to actually see some indication that that campaign is touching the right people in the right companies.
So I think that's a good segue to kind of focus on target accounts, because what you just brought up now is you don't see it on the actual per person level, but it's the way you guys are working, if I understand correctly. And I know a lot of the companies that we're working with and the companies that are maybe on this call are targeting accounts. And if they know that there's engagement on the company level, on the target account level, that means a lot. And it's important information to convey with the sales team and the BDR or SDR teams and say, listen, guys, are you having conversations with them at the moment? We can see that these conversations are obviously getting some traction, because in parallel, we are seeing people either coming to the website or on LinkedIn are viewing our videos and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
so
it's a great way also to be able to optimize the videos that we run on LinkedIn, because today we don't really know, which video is working better than others, because like they have different lengths. So like 25-50% doesn't make sense when you compare two videos with different lengths. So I think that ability will also give us the ability to start and optimizing our videos based on the impact they give.
Got it. Okay, excellent. I think that's really important. I wanted to show just where the targeted, if we jumped into the target accounts, I just want to show everyone where that is. I'm assuming everyone knows where it is, but if you go into contacts and under targeted accounts, HubSpot has the ability to manage target accounts today. You can obviously, even if I'm using Salesforce, I can actually pull in the accounts from Salesforce and choose those as targeted accounts. And if I'm using HubSpot as my CRM, then obviously this works as well. Which are the target accounts, how many open deals we have, the deal value. They're actually no open tasks. So this not only shows information about what's happening with these target accounts based on industry, lifecycle stage, ideal customer profile, teams, owners, but it also gives you recommendations. So hang on, let me go back. So I can actually see and create tasks around this. So I can actually reach out to the sales team and say, you should reach out to this task, to this company and to this company, take into account that these are the people that are in the database. And if you can see here, this is the last touch. This is the last engagement. Is there a meeting scheduled? So you can actually manage this, very interesting. And then the second thing you can do is actually recommendations. So based on the number of associated contacts and last engagement, you can actually see which are the companies that are coming to your website, and maybe you should be reaching out to them. You told me as well that you also use the prospect tool, which again, for a while it was hard to find where that is, but I think they put it in the right place now. It's been moved over to target accounts, and it's a tool to actually give you, so you were talking about getting information around who is coming from which customers. And then obviously from those videos, they might be coming to your website, but not leaving their details. So you were telling me a story how that you use this tool to, about before GDPR, we had much more information, but today we only see the ICP. So this, just so I go in, before you give me your answer, I just want to explain everyone how this actually works. This works on the ICP of a company. So any company that is an enterprise or big company that has their own ICP, you'll be able to see that based on the domain who's coming in. If it's a small company working in WeWork or using something else, then you might see one of the internet providers that it pops up. But you can see Tesson Holdings is the proper company. And then if I click on here, it actually talks about the visit, gives me the domain, where they're coming from. And then there's also related companies. So you can actually see, and you can actually see when this comes in. The other thing you can do is you can manage notifications and actually send this to your sales team on a daily or revisit notifications on a different time. So how are you using this tool with your sales team?
So yeah, I love this report, prospect report. Yeah, it was hidden for a while, but I had a link and I bookmarked that link, so it was easy to find. And so we have two main use cases. We used it differently in the past. Like in the past, we had a bigger sales team. We had around 10 SDRs. So basically, I used the daily report, automatically, and send the SDRs automatically report, and then the smart ones. I know that they used that and got some good meetings from there. Basically, it gives you the ability to really target or call the companies that are not just relevant, but also hot right now, like visited the website in the last 24 hours. So still, everything is fresh and they are more likely to respond. Today, we have two main use cases. So we don't have that big SDR team anymore. So I'm not sending that automatically because there is also a lot of like false positive in those reports. Like you said, internet providers or different tools that work on your website or many stuff can be irrelevant in this report. So what I do today, I work on that report. You see right now there is a filter about internet service providers. So I think like choosing the right industry is relevant for you. That's a good filter to do there. Then I take out the top 10%, the bottom 10%. I stay with the middle ground and I try to, basically I go company by company and I see if it's relevant. And then I send a list of about 20, 30 companies a week or a month, depend how busy I am, to the SDR team and tell them, look, those companies like you should follow up with because they're looking for something. And they know us. So I think the fact that they know us is a big fact. Companies, I think that companies are rushing really fast to use like external intent data. They go to G2 Cloud, they go to Bombora, they're looking for like third level intent data, but it's before they actually use the first level intent data report that we're watching right now of the companies that are interested in them, not in the industry, not in the category, not in the, like it's not as strong as the companies that are actually interested in you. So I think like that report is the best intent data a company can get. So first use is I try to filter out the irrelevant, send it to the SDR team. Second use case is basically connect that to your LinkedIn audiences and keep the engagement going with those companies.
So that's very interesting. The other part of the ad management platform that we didn't touch on, so we talked about the analytics. We can actually add specific events today, which is also very interesting. But you just brought up audiences. So what we can do, and I'm not going to go into the mechanicals around how to do that because I think that anyone can just Google it. It's very easy to create an audience, but you can create an audience and segment that audience however you want, and then connect that back into any of the ad management platforms from HubSpot directly. So you can, choose an AI, a Registrant, or HubSpot semiconductor markets. How do you create audiences? So it's lookalike audiences, or how would you use this tool?
Basically, I use this tool in several other ways. So I'm not a fan of lookalikes in general. I think that, that notion, but again, it's specifically for our product because our product is an expensive product with a long cycle. You need to be like a very specific use case to be relevant for us. So I'm trying to avoid lookalikes And in general, I think that lookalikes are a motion of something in marketing that I don't believe in now, which is spray and pray. People used to use that term a lot, spray and pray. And most of the marketers that I know don't believe in God, don't believe in praying, but they still choose that, practice of spraying and praying. So, and especially with the economic situation right now, I think it's very important for companies to really take the time to define a list of companies that is relevant for them. You need to understand if it's 100 companies or 1,000 companies, depend on your goals, but like stop spraying. Just choose the companies that you need, sit with the sales team, define those companies, start chasing those companies with messaging for the decision makers, with messaging for people that will open the door for you, for different messaging for the end user. Start to put your effort in doing that and not in spraying. Also, the measurement is much more simple when you go after a predefined list of companies. So I think that's a practice that I recommend people to give it some thought. So that's one thing that I do with the sales team at Firebolt. We know pretty much we have several lists, we have bigger lists, we have smaller lists, depends on the goal per quarter. And we try to convert those companies, and then we can go back to HubSpot and see what companies we touch, how many touch points, give the salespeople indications like those companies, talk to them today, they are hot. Another thing is to do air cover with audiences. So basically get from the salespeople, let's say in March, the SDR team is going to approach 50 companies. I want to start today to advertise to those 50 companies. So when they call them, they already know something about Firebolt, and it's not a cold call. So basically marketers have the ability to turn cold calls into warm calls using audiences, and I think it's great, and definitely it's going to help your relationship with the sales team. So that's another use case. Then I think another use case for target accounts or for audiences is basically exclusion, right? We spend so much money on campaigns, and we know that in many cases our campaigns are not touching the right people. So I think another good practice is to think, how can you exclude or refine your targeting based on previous interactions? So for example, in our industry, there are a lot of consultant agencies, and it doesn't make sense for us to advertise to those consultant agencies. Definitely they can support decisions inside companies, but it doesn't make sense financially to actually spend money on ads for them. So every time a new consultant comes into HubSpot, we exclude the entire company. So that way, at least we know we're not going to spend money on those consultants in that specific firm anymore. So I think that's also a great way to save money or to allocate money to the right places and not to the wrong places.
So you would create a target audience list. I think hopefully people are looking at my screen as well. So what you're saying is that I could say, just create a very quick list and say, anyone that's gone to last page seen or number of pages or any website pages is a certain amount. But then I can also say, if your email or your email domain does not equal to or does not contain, and then you create a list of all those agencies or all those people that you don't want to. So what you're saying is you create targeted lists like I just said before, but two, the actual lists that you do is to say, okay, where am I putting the money in front of the right people, and make sure that that list is clean so that it doesn't include, if it's anyone coming to the website, people that you're not trying to sell to. so that you can kind of manage your budget correctly.
Yeah, exactly. You can do it by industry level as well. You can do it by, depends again on your company and your product. But yeah, think about creative ways to actually find those segments that are not relevant, that will never convert, and start saving money on this.
So one is to use the target accounts, and then we can choose target accounts, create lists based on that. The other one is, as you said, using the ads management platform or directly inside your platforms and creating an audience, making sure that that audience is something that's brand new now, and we haven't started using it, but it's worth, just so that everyone on the call is aware of it, is ad sequences. So you can actually create a sequence from Facebook ads that can also drive traffic, and you can actually do that inside HubSpot. So you can actually go in here and create a sequence, attract ad, convert ad, close ad, and publish a sequence, engagement ad, website visits. So this is something that I think is really powerful if for your audience Facebook is relevant, and it's worth looking at these new features that are coming out all the time. Do you guys use Facebook at all? Obviously, I can do this on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Yeah, we use some Facebook. I came across that new capability of HubSpot like 2 days ago, and I think it's really promising. I really think sequence ads are having a comeback. They never been a huge thing, but there were some companies before that tried to do that, and now HubSpot is coming into the game. And I know LinkedIn, maybe I shouldn't say it on a podcast, but LinkedIn is also thinking on a solution for sequence ads. So I think it's having a comeback, and I think it makes a lot of sense to start and defining those stuff in a sequence instead of, putting all kinds of notes on your calendar to start a new campaign, today, tomorrow. I think it's a great way to have it predefined already.
So you create the automation, you create the target, you create your budget, you create your ad, and then you can create your budget, and then you can automate the process. So this is, I think, really powerful. This is actually using lead gen, Facebook or LinkedIn lead gen field. So I think that's, and then obviously you can do drafts with Start. Yeah. And also there's also recommendations that, at the moment this is not connected, so we're not seeing that. So I think those are powerful things that we should be using.
Mark, I have another use case for the target account audiences that I forgot to tell you about. It's also like a matter, if your sales team defined all those companies that they want to go after, it makes a lot of sense to connect that to your Google Ads account and adjust your bids in Google Ads for that account. So let's say, for example, that, obviously I want to pay, I'm willing to bid more aggressively on Google Ads for people that I know for sure that are relevant for me. I want to be in first place, first position, I want to make sure that to increase the chances they clicking on my ad. So I think that's a great way to actually create an audience from your target account, connect that to Google Ads, and create inside Google Ads bid adjustment based on that to make sure you're not missing those people that are the staying aware to your company, to your product, and basically, top of mind kind of approach. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So what you're saying is that, especially when we kind of focus on account-based marketing, target accounts, however you want to call it today, but I think especially if you're working with a company that you're selling to 100 or even 1,000 companies, and those are the people, then you need to find the decision makers and then use your paid ads to target those departments, those audiences, and spend your money wisely so that you get the most out of it. So, and as you said, with the main goal of when they do reach out to them or when they're reaching out to us, that they know that in your case, the company, they haven't heard it for the first time. They've seen it online, they've seen it on Facebook, they've seen it on Instagram, they've seen it on wherever they digitally, obviously LinkedIn, and then doing a lot of organic LinkedIn posts, which we kind of didn't touch on, but that is what all of us have been bumping into. I think that is also really powerful, that drives traffic and drives engagement. I wanted to touch a bit on, so we talked about the prospects tool. I showed you guys, we have about 15 minutes. I want to get to a few questions as well. But how to use HubSpot campaigns, we talked about that. What about UTMs? I know that that's something that's kind of, what is your take on that when obviously you're using, if I'm using a lead gen form with HubSpot, I know it comes in directly from the lead gen form. I can go to workflow around that. I know that it's coming from that using the original source and the last source. So I see that coming in. Let me just show again. I think this is my most favorite report, which I don't think is used enough, which is so you have two things. You have the sources report, which breaks down my traffic based on sessions, new contacts, customers, bounce rate, so on and so forth. But I can deep dive into this and go into whatever period. So if I go into social, paid social, for example, I can see LinkedIn brought me a certain session. I think we're looking at today. If I want to look at referrals, which companies we may be sharing content with, so on and so forth. But this also gives me a UTM parameters that I'm obviously creating. How do you guys, do you use UTMs? Do you capture them? Do you have them as hidden fields inside your forms? Like this form that we looked at, are there UTMs in the back of this form? What's your take on that?
Okay, so I have a feeling that we are less and less relying on UTMs to measure the traffic. We do a lot of LinkedIn, so we connect the campaign group on LinkedIn, we connect it as a campaign on HubSpot. So it pulls that automatically. And for us right now, it's enough to do it on the campaign group level. So basically UTMs are more for optimizing ads or specific ad groups, because I think everything connects nicely today with what we do on HubSpot natively and not with UTMs. UTMs are also technically they're out to manage because like there are few issues with them. First of all, when you go from a page to a page on the website, you need to create some kind of script, I think, to keep having the UTMs, because in our case, most people don't convert on the landing page. You grab their attention, or you grab their attention in the ad, you grab their interest in the landing page, but then obviously landing page cannot give all the information they need, so they go after, they read the product page, they read about us, they go into the pricing page, they watch the recorded demo. So you need to create some kind of script in the website to make sure that the UTMs are secure and staying on the URL level. So that's one issue. The second issue, I think it's cookie consent. Sometimes you will see that the first page that you see in HubSpot, it's not actually the first page of the user because that user is blocking cookies. So I think UTMs on one end, they're getting more difficult to manage technically. And on the other end, HubSpot gives you more native capabilities to connect your campaigns to HubSpot. So I feel like we're relying less and less on UTMs, which is great.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think you need to use the more data that you can get from HubSpot without having to rely. And now that they have original source, which gives you the first touch, but last source, which I think is one of the more powerful fields that HubSpot added about a year ago, which will give me the drop down 1, drop down 2. So if they came in from a paid campaign, they came back to Google, so you can actually see the journey going into the latest source. and the changes and updates. So you can actually just from that field see the journey of how the people are coming back to your website and interacting. Obviously, once they're in the website, and I agree with you that it's getting harder and harder to match that data. But I think it's important. We have about 10 minutes, and I wanted to touch something that you and I had a conversation about. So we kind of talked about it, as we said, making sure that you're using all of the capabilities that HubSpot has, whether it's targeted accounts, the reporting, create basic reportings. I think, as we said, I was showing you guys before, but one way of doing it is using the campaigns, the prospects, the targeted landscape. So just before we go back to the last part of the session that I wanted to talk about, what data we cannot see, we already touched on the videos. Just so you can actually build yourself to target account landscape and target account overview. So these are out of the box, by the way. You just go in and choose the template and pull it in, and it already pulls everything. So it's really within 5 minutes, you should all have this up and running. Target accounts by buying role, target accounts by profile. So I think this is really powerful, and it's not for the managers only. I think it's very powerful for your SDR and your sales team to actually track these. They can look over time and they can say, okay, which companies are interested in us, and and divide them into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and so on and so forth. So there is another thing that I think is obviously the attribution we talked about. We can tie that in. I know that attribution, and I agree with you, is measuring the ROI when it's a closed one deal is great, but it's not so simple. And I think you need to look at, as you said, what is your first goal? Is your goal getting them to engage, and get them interested? And then when they want to speak to you, obviously fill out a form or a demo. And then in your case, you said meetings is something that you can track. So you can actually track those meetings and then try and get some kind of attribution through the campaigns. I think that's really powerful. Yeah. What about data that you can't see? So I know there's lots of talk on LinkedIn today and between different things of use cases. As you said, the use cases, I go in, I look at, I'm very engaged with your video now, but I never go and fill out any form, okay? And then I think, okay, well, I do need a solution. And is Firebolt a good solution for us, or should I look at their competitors? So the more and more answers I'm getting how are people actually buying today, especially in the B2B world, is they going to a WhatsApp group, they going to a personal group of colleagues or of peers that they trust, and they're getting information like that. So I know that we've added on our website, how did you get to us? And I see that you've done it as well. So that because that a lot of the time I could come to that website, fill out the form, and when I do fill out the form, but how do I originally get to you? So I wrote to, I don't know if you noticed, when I filled out the form, I got to the form through Itay. Okay, so that's clear that we have a personal relationship here, and that's how I filled out the form. But is that something that you are aware of? How are you kind of trying to manage that new brave world that we're in?
Okay, so how did you get to us? How did you hear about Firebolt? In our case, this is the way we ask that. I think it can make a lot of difference. How do you ask that question? You need to really think about the question you ask, because it will change the answers you get completely. And I'm a big fan of how did you hear about us. I'm a big fan. I know some people say it's the answers they're getting are too generic. They don't learn anything from that. Again, it depends on your company and your state. I joined Firebolt, and I'm joining companies when they are small. So basically, the answers that we get are pretty clear, because it's not like you're doing dozens of activities. You're doing 4 or 5 main activities, and you want to know which one give a bigger impact. So let's say, for example, I think that the way, HubSpot or any attribution tool is looking at channels is a bit biased, because because, okay, direct traffic basically means unknown traffic, right? But then organic traffic coming to your home page is also unknown traffic. Usually in B2B product, the home page of your product or the homepage of your website will attract people searching for your brand only. Maybe some other keywords attracting people to the homepage, but it's mainly brand searches. To call that organic leads is biased. Basically, it's unknown traffic. We don't know how they heard about Firebolt. So we're trying to fill the gaps. So basically, we have a field that called the lead source name. It's a campaign that it's a field that basically take the source like we see here, but it's also something that we can manually change. And then every month when we finish the month and we go after the leads, we look at direct and organic leads coming to the homepage. By the way, also Google Ads leads that come to the homepage are also unknown traffic. So we take these as well and we try to see the answers, and we actually take the answers and we change the lead source name. So we're trying to like fix the way HubSpot and other platforms look at it by default, and we try to give ourselves more indications. So let's say, for example, you get a lot of answers of people saying, we heard about you through a WhatsApp group, right? What do you do with that? What do you do with that insight? So definitely it's supposed to give you an indication that you should do more influencer marketing, more people talking about your product, because then that kind of stuff get to WhatsApp group. If people said like, many people said like, we saw you in an event in San Francisco, see what was good in that event, what segment, what kind of industry it was applying to, and do more events like that. So I think it can give you a lot of insight about what is working. And I think it's better than first interaction, last interaction, time decay, all those models, because all those models are trying to find what is the most meaningful interaction that you had with the user. And obviously, a person saying, how did you hear about us? That's the most meaningful interaction that he remembers. So I think it's also the most accurate data point that you can get.
Well, that's really insightful. I agree with you, because I think one of the issues with the first interaction, last interaction, is that in most cases, there's going to be multiple interactions. And I actually didn't think of that way. But if you actually ask the person, doesn't mean it's the first interaction, but it's the most important interaction if that's the one that they remember, because they could have gone to the website before they met you in San Francisco. They could have already gone to the pricing page. They could have filled out a demo. But meeting you in San Francisco was obviously, you know, if you're talking about attribution, I would give that the most amount of weight. If we're talking about percentages, because that's the one that, you know, if you're giving him one choice, that's the one that he remembers. Very interesting. So in other words, if I can summarize kind of a combination of things, life is not so simple. Our expectations that if you click on, you know, just you set up the system, even if you set it up perfectly, expect everything to go in and we'll see 100% of the data. That is not the world we're living in. And it's worth, as you said, spending extra time, knowing where you have your black holes, as you said, organic search, direct traffic, videos on LinkedIn, so on and so forth, trying to find out, getting those answers, asking those extra questions so that those are not black holes anymore. And then you get more attribution, and then you can actually come in and say, and then focusing around your target. So you said, not always closed one. There might be a long sales process is what I need to look at, but I do need to look at engagement and then see how many people in your case are setting up meetings. That's kind of the KPI that you want to, and in other companies, it might be, you know, lead to opportunity. I can break down the different stages, but that's kind of helping me optimize, but it's not the real metric. The real metric is either opening opportunity or the meeting, or depending on the different customers. Okay, I think we're out of time. So I don't even think we have time for questions, but we can probably go on for another hour. So we're going to have to stop here. This has been really interesting. I think I don't know about you, Perry, but I know this is one of the more advanced and
I've already
challenging part of
multiple messages about this, and there's some follow-ups that we'll have to create additional sessions on. I just want to say, anybody who's still on and listening, we have our next hacker is going to be Mike Donnelly, CEO and co-founder at 7 Cents. We'll be discussing email deliverability optimization with native HubSpot tools together with reporting, getting through firewalls, hard bounces, talk about a little bit about AI. Seems to be going to be a good one, as they always are. So thanks, Mark. Thanks, Itay. And we'll next week.
I want to say something before we end. Okay,
go ahead.
So guys, you can feel free to approach me on LinkedIn. If you have any question or you want more information about what I talked today, I'm always open to talk with other marketers. And you can consult with me. Feel free to ask for my help. That's one. Second of all, keep doing awesome job for your companies. We know it's not easy to be a performance marketer today. So feel good with yourself, love yourself, and stay beautiful.
You too, Itay. Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.